Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
This is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Gutcher.
And boy, what's worse than Cat Swan? It's Elayne.
Oh boy.
Gosh, she's such a nightmare. The first chapter is titled Expectation. Get it? Because Elayne is 1 week pregnant.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. I am not, truly shocked that she knows at this point that she is pregnant. Is she I was due to get my period the day after Rand and I had sex, and I didn't.
No, Min had a viewing and told everyone.
That's right. I thought she was saying she was going to get pregnant. I misunderstood.
No, she is literally 1 week pregnant, and Min was like, she'll have babies because of Rand sticking his dick in her right now. And everyone was like, that's some hot goss.
Didn't pick that up. I'm
and
sorry.
Immediately
I'm stupid,
told
you
Elayne,
guys.
no, you're not. No, I mean, either way, it is kind of like the scene in Breaking Dawn Part 1, where Bella's like, oh my god, I'm pregnant, after throwing up once.
Yeah.
And, staring in the mirror at her completely flat stomach.
Breaking Dawn is an atrocity.
I know. The Breaking Dawn pregnancy and the Elayne pregnancy have some startling similarities, I will say. I say it's like that either way because I feel like if I had just had sex for the first time and someone was like, you're gonna get pregnant, I'd be like, that's not real.
Be like, no.
I'd be like, I'm just not gonna freak out about that until the pregnancy actually starts affecting my life or appearing, you know?
Yeah.
It's just everyone has some truly wackadoodle behavior about Elayne's pregnancy. Robert Jordan's thesis here seems to be that everyone around Elayne has an opinion about her pregnancy and wants to tell her how to be pregnant and how to be an expecting mother and then how to be a mother and what she needs to do to take care of herself and da-da-da-da-da. Which, I don't know, I've never been pregnant. From what I understand of having a sister who's been pregnant and knowing other people who have had children, that is in some ways true to real life. Pregnant women, by being pregnant, already by being a woman in public, you seem to be inviting everyone to comment on your appearance, your behavior, everything. By being a pregnant woman, that is trebled, you know?
Yeah.
Pregnant women cannot catch a break. But, it just feels like I really don't like Robert Jordan, of all people, writing about that. It is such a uniquely, it's such a unique experience to pregnant people.
Yeah.
As far as I know, he has never been pregnant.
Yeah, it is similar to the discussion we had either earlier in this book or in Crown of Swords, where Robert Jordan was talking about Elayne's eating habits.
Yeah, that's in this book, too.
Yeah, in Winter's Heart. I could not. Everything just starts to roll together when books are this long, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to sort of be, taking the female... He's like, I've witnessed the female experience.
I've perhaps spoken to a woman or two about it.
And therefore, I'm qualified to write about it from a woman's perspective. And everyone around Elayne pretty much at this point, with the exception of a few people, is also female. And it's just that is not the case, Robert. You are not... you could perhaps make, a gesture towards the fact that Elayne is being told what to do, but to make it such like an integral part of her pregnancy plotline does not feel like his place.
Yeah, if you're annoyed by what's going on now, well, wait for the next 5 books, because you're still going to be annoyed by it 5 books from now because it's still going on. It's actually ridiculous that Elayne never, like, it would be one thing if, you know, after a few chapters of this, Elayne was like, listen,
yeah,
it's my body. And, no one gets to talk to me like this. I'm the queen, you know? Like, this is ridiculous. This is already micromanaging my behavior and my body to an unreasonable level from people who are supposedly my friends, but do not at all act like my friends ever.
And she, if I'm recalling the plot from Crossroads of Twilight and Knife of Dreams well enough, which, who knows, she does tell Birgitte and Aviendha that they cannot speak to her about this, so Birgitte and Aviendha just talk about her behind her back extensively and continue to try and micromanage her, and when Elayne catches them, she calls them out on it, but everyone continues to do this behavior. So, like, to Elaine's credit, in this one instance, she is just being like, you actually cannot do this, this is ridiculous, but nobody around her is listening to her.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't feel great about Robert Jordan tackling this particular topic. And I don't feel like he did it in a good way, and I don't feel like at the end of it, you know, he has said anything productive about it. It's like he just used it as yet another set piece. The same way he uses, like, women's clothing, you know, to make comments about them. He can't just be like, he doesn't come out on the other side of this being like, and everyone learned a lesson about how Elayne's body is not for public consumption, you know? Or public control. He's just kind of like, well, and yeah, Elayne sure does get threatened a whole lot during her pregnancy, and, you know, violent things happen to her, and she's not very smart about it, and so really it makes sense that everyone is this insane about her.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't feel great.
It doesn't feel great. And I just have also, like, I should preface all of this by saying that I, as a person who never wants to have children, never wants to be pregnant, am still working through my various feminist awakenings when it comes to childhood, to childbearing and child rearing. I have automatically very negative reactions whenever pregnancy is brought up. Again, this comes a lot from me not being a person who wants to have children. I think it also comes a lot from being raised in Utah, where I was asked for the first time at 6 or 7 years old what type of mother I wanted to be, or like how many children I wanted to have. Like, it's very, I know that happens everywhere, but it feels particularly egregious here in Utah. So these are all my sort of like, the author has this to disclaim. So I already have like a very knee-jerk negative reaction to pregnancy plots, particularly as handled by male authors. It is, or people who have not been pregnant. It feels like cis men and cis men fantasy writers in particular have this like compulsion, like they've been possessed by a demon to impregnate at least one of their female characters throughout the series. Like, it feels impossible to them that multiple women can exist in the space without not bearing children. I don't know. I just feel like it is never handled in a way that is like the child adds value to the person's life, and like being a mother or a parent adds value. It's always like framed in some like weird, like even if it's not framed this way, the narrative goes in the direction of like having children essentially ends that woman's life, which is just like super not fun to read about, I think.
Yeah, I get the sense from male fantasy writers that they can only think of like 3 things that can happen to women in order to further their character arcs. You know, she's probably going to get sexually assaulted. She's probably going to become pregnant at some point. She might miscarry.
Yeah.
These are all things that happen exclusively in these men's minds to women, and so what should my female characters do? Surely not the complex and nuanced things that are happening to the male characters.
No way.
When it comes to questions of, I don't know, leadership, confidence,
self-discovery,
world
self-empowerment, yeah,
solving mysteries,
having a career.
Yeah, no, it's just get pregnant. And it's just frustrating because we see that's something that we typically see, you know, even in just like on television. If there's any long-running television show that's primarily focused on women, then one or more of those women is going to become pregnant at some point. You know, it's the Sex and the City syndrome.
Yeah, and I also, this is a little bit tangential to the point, but the point I was initially getting at when I was, like, making my disclaimer about being a person who doesn't want to get pregnant. So much of, like, reading fantasy or, like, watching television, like, a big portion of that is, like, escapism and, like, wish fulfillment and, like, fantasy. And I think for a lot of people who can get pregnant, the ability to, like, have a sexual life without having to be concerned about getting pregnant, or, like, how much that fear can take away from your experience of your sexuality. And it is always, to me, it feels really, like, defeating when it's like, oh, like, it's great that Elayne and Rand, I mean, the sex scene itself has its issues, but, like, ultimately, it's, like, two young people who just, like, really want to have sex and, like, explore their sexuality with one another. And it's like, oh, but big bummer, a week later, Elayne knows that she is pregnant. And, like, the one time she had sex resulted in pregnancy. And it's just like, who is this fun for? Not for me.
No, I mean, nothing about Elayne is fun for anyone. I don't know
Fair.
who Elayne is for. Like, that character, I think she's just a hologram onto which Robert Jordan projects his various fetishes. But like, yeah.
No, it just feels really frustrating. One of the things I find very exhausting about reading or watching television that is scripted or written by predominantly cis, usually white men, is like, yes, inevitably their female character will sort of stumble into a pregnancy plot because, again, as Emily pointed out, apparently men can only think of a handful of things that happens to women in their lifetime. And it's just like, God, this is so exhausting. It's so exhausting.
Yeah, it makes your female readers or viewers or whatever feel like that's one of the only few things that can happen to them.
Yeah.
If you've made it to, you know, your 30s without getting pregnant, without being sexually assaulted, then you're some sort of miracle woman.
Yeah.
You know?
A magical unicorn.
You're just, yeah, you're bisexual, you're a unicorn.
What? Oh my gosh. It's just, anyway, that's my, like, little rant about how actually your female characters don't need to become pregnant. And if you are a person who is creating something who is like, one of my female characters gets pregnant, I challenge you to really question why you made that decision.
Yeah, why is it happening?
Yeah. Is it something that she wants, that she has been pursuing? Is it something that she's going to be excited about? Or did you just run out of plot points?
Yeah. This chapter opens with Elayne and Egg in Teleron Riyadh having met in the dream version of the Two Rivers. Anyway, Edwene is going through the 5 stages of grief as she is disillusioned with the progress, if you want to call it that Emmons Field has gone through since she left like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It is swiftly becoming no longer a little hamlet, but a bustling city. Mm-hmm. Elayne is more concerned about the, like, banners flying, that she's like, this indicates rebellion, and I'm gonna have to deal with that. Which is, like, such a boring plotline that I barely even want to address it. It's just, like, Elayne and Morgause, every time they get on their high horse about Emmons Field or in the Two Rivers region, I guess, trying to claim independence or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, because it's like, why is this even a conflict that's happening? You guys haven't done... I mean, maybe that's the American in me talking.
Yeah.
Being like, maybe the monarchy should keep its nose out of my business.
Yeah, I think there's two, perhaps, quote-unquote, American, as much as that country actually exists, ideologies of, like, yes, monarchy, keeping it out of his business, but also, like, there's an idea of, like, land sovereignty going on here, where, like, Caemlyn has come in and claimed multiple of these, like, really outlying villages who have, in this case, their ancestry traces to Manetheren, not necessarily to Andor, both of which I believe were countries simultaneously. So for Emmons Field to be like, we want to govern ourselves, that is an entirely valid claim. It's always a valid claim when you want to govern yourself, because borders are fake, but different conversation. So
Yeah. It's not like, surprisingly, it's not like the Two Rivers is like, we want to become independent because we endorse slavery, you know? Robert Jordan really could have gone that way.
Then we would have really gotten into American history.
The Two Rivers is kind of like, you guys haven't really done anything for us in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't even think we pay taxes. We don't have an accurate map. Do you even know who we are?
No.
And I don't think Elayne did up until she met Rand and then was like, I'm going to suddenly research. I'm going to go on Bing.com and look up my crush's hometown, you know?
Spelled incorrectly. And Bing is like, did you mean?
So that's just all I'm going to say about it. The monarchy should keep its nose out of
Monarchy should
the Two Rivers business.
cease to exist.
Do I think parents should be in charge? Absolutely not. But
No.
I want Elayne to be in charge even less.
No, I want the Two Rivers to elect a democratic body to govern itself. And then destroy Andor.
Anyway, they're just walking around. We are told that it is the day before Edwina is going to travel to Tarvalon, apparently. And Edwina is like, are you sure I shouldn't send some of my guys to you? Despite the fact that she needs every guy she can keep her hands on. And Elayne's like, yeah, no, they won't. No one's going to attack me until the spring. Which is so funny because, wouldn't you know it, 12 hours later, who's attacking Andor?
Multiple people,
Multiple armies.
actually.
Yeah.
Like
Go
3
figure.
or 4.
Go figure. But Egg's like, yeah, okay, well, then that's great. I'm just gonna go on and do my siege and whatever. Good luck. And Elayne's like, yeah, bestie, good luck to you too. And they exchange their little best friend forever heart necklaces.
Just 2 girl bosses out here conquering nations.
And Egg's like, please don't, if you see Rand again, please send him to me. Or, like, do something. I need to know where he is. And Elayne's like, I'm not gonna do that. And they go about their way, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, girl, you could be like, I can pass on a message. Egg wants to see you. End of message.
Yeah.
As simple as that, baby.
Only Elayne gets to know where Rand is. She's just gonna keep him in a room for the rest of his life, apparently.
Stupid. Anyway, Egg then wakes up next to Avienda, because apparently they're sharing their bed now, which, again, Robert Jordan. Most straight women don't just do that.
They could just have been lovers.
It's just so...
Yeah,
you
what does
just
Robert
know...
Jordan think happens?
Well, Robert Jordan is one of those guys who reads any history about 2 women who lived together for 40 years and was like, they were just such good friends.
And they were roommates.
And they were roommates. They had a bond like unto sisters. Robert Jordan watched Brokeback Mountain and was like, the brotherly love
The
in
brotherly love between these 2 men. Yeah, they wake up in their frilly night dresses or whatever they're wearing.
Yeah, and they start bouncing femininely around their day. I forgot to turn the heat off. God damn it. Okay, they go to get dressed. Elayne gets put in her fancy dress. Avienda's making fun of her the entire time. At the end, Elayne is like, oh, and by the way, your fancy dresses are done. And Avienda's like, fine, I will not keep mocking you about it, but you can't take a joke. And I'm like, this is about as friendly an interaction as we get between 2 characters.
Yeah.
And look at it.
And it's heavily queer-coded.
Yep.
So, just fine. You can be friends with your partner, but...
Elayne then goes to have her bland breakfast because all of the women around her believe that pregnant women should only eat porridge. No comment.
No comment.
And while she's breakfasting, she visits with multiple people. How when Nori comes in to give her a report about, like, the financial situation, he's like, it's looking good. I got some banker support. Rain Harford comes in to be like, yep, I found more spies. Elaine's like, great, keep them on, but we're going to be careful about what information they get. They meet with some merchants, blah, blah, blah. And then, I've forgotten what happens after that. Oh, and then Elayne and Avienda go for a walk outside because pregnant women are supposed to have fresh air. Again, no comment. While they're outside, they see that Merileel?
Yeah,
Is that the one we're dealing with?
Merileel.
Boy, there are so many... I know we've said this many times before, but there are so many
It's really
Aes Sedai
untenable.
names. Yeah, I can't do it. they see Merilil returning from some undisclosed location. They go down to meet her. She has been gone for a little while. It appears everyone's been taking in turns to do the sea folk lessons. Everyone hates it, but it doesn't seem to be as big of a deal as fucking Nynaeve and Elayne were making it the last time we were here, so maybe everyone just needs to chill out.
Just make a schedule, Elayne. It's just you being a bad manager, actually.
And Merilil's like, yeah, I just came from the Borderlanders camp. Seems to be all of the monarchs of the Borderlands, plus, like, there's a bunch of Aes Sedai that, of course, are being kept secret. And Merilil's like, yeah, and there's a whole ton of, like, people, but, you know, I don't know what's...
It's just like a huge-ass army north of your city, but...
But they don't seem to be going anywhere, and they seem to be looking for Rand. And it's like, okay, great. Oh, and they want to talk to you. And Elaine's like, great, let's go talk to them right now, because she's had an idea that she doesn't tell us about until it's happening, because this is the only way that Robert Jordan can scavenge some suspense into his plot lines.
So we're just like not even, that's like, it's not a thing that needs to be suspenseful.
Yeah, I also just don't care about this situation.
Well, especially
this goddamn bitch of a situation.
This goddamn son of a bitch of a situation. Goddamn bitch of a situation. Especially because it's just Elayne, like, bullying foreign dignitaries to do her bidding.
Oh, yeah. This whole, like... We get so many scenes of Elayne doing this. Of her, like, walking into situations. And everyone around her being like, wow, she's an absolute goddess of leadership. Of negotiation. Of playing the game of houses. Of doing all this stuff. And it's just like...
She's not.
Yeah, you're sort of like... It just becomes hard to tell, like, it seems like Robert Jordan is making Elayne OP in the most feminine way possible, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, she's just good at all the, like, female stuff, which, because this is a feminist text, includes leadership.
Yeah.
But it's, like, all evidence to the contrary, literally.
Yeah, it's one of those show don't tell instances, Robert. If you, like, you just keep telling us she's good at power, good at being in leadership, but everything you show us is
Everything
not
you're
correct.
showing us is that Elayne can't even keep a handle on her own, on control of her own body.
Yeah.
So...
Which, again, is not always in your control.
Yeah,
but
and
that's
it's not
not
to,
what
like...
Robert is. That's not the narrative he's, like,
Yeah.
he's playing it as a joke. He's like, Elayne can't even tell people to leave her alone.
Yeah, Elayne can't even tell the cooks to give her the food she wants.
Yeah, versus being like, everyone believes they are entitled to Elaine's body, and this is actually the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's just framed badly. So, yes.
So yeah, Elayne goes charging off to meet with the Borderlanders with just Birgitte and Avienda in tow. They send Merilil ahead. And they go to have this meeting with the big army. I guess it is worth mentioning all of the Borderland rulers because our last introduction to them was at the beginning of Path of Daggers, which, of course, we skipped.
Oh, yeah.
That was when they were all getting together and deciding on this course of action.
It was almost 2 full books ago, and
Yeah,
now
it
we're
was-
expected to remember these clowns.
It was quite a while ago. Elayne is specifically dressed as an Aes Sedai rather than, you know, in her full Queen of Andor regalia. Because she's like, I want them to see me as an Aes Sedai, not a queen, even though what she's asking them to do specifically benefits her as the queen.
It's
She's
so
like,
annoying.
And she's like, that's my big, you know, 3D chess move. Is that I'm not dressed like the queen, but I'm asking them to do shit for me as the queen. And I'm like,
Actually, Robert,
that's nothing.
your clothes do not give you an identity. Like they can help, but they don't actually give it to you. So she's, like, still the queen no matter what she's wearing.
Whatever the hell. Anyway, she goes to this tent where the 4 rulers are congregated, and we meet them. The ruler of Shianar is a man named Isar. He is just a guy. There's nothing too special about him. Candor is Etheniel. She was the point of view character for the big Borderlander meeting, and she is incredibly bland. She's unmarried. That's her main. She's in her middle age, but she's unmarried. That's Robert
which
Jordan's
is
big
such a sin
character
against
point.
God.
Then there's this guy named Petar, or perhaps Peter, whose one character trait is that he is incredibly hot, but he's kind of old. But he's super hot. Which I find refreshing because he has the same effect on people that Galad has.
Yeah.
But he's like in his 50s. And I'm like, good. You can
for
still
him.
get it.
You can still get it when
My
you're
guy.
50.
I can't remember if one of these guys is gay or...
One of I believe if I remember correctly, one of Atheniel's like liegemen is heavily implied to be gay in the Path of Daggers. I don't remember his name though, so it could be one of the people that is in this tent, but I can't remember.
I just don't remember either. I just vaguely remember a scene in A Memory of Light where Brandon Sanderson was like, look at my gay representation, and had Lan have a 2-sentence conversation with another guy, and Lan in his head was like, he prefers men. And I was like, what if you...
Which actually isn't an appropriate way to talk about someone's sexuality.
What if you were quiet?
What? What if?
Number 4 is Tenobia of Saldia, whose main character trait is that she's rude as hell. The first thing she does is say a racial slur to Avienda. And Avienda, because of course this is the way Robert Jordan wants to handle it, is like, what's a racial slur? I've never been victimized in my entire life. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
It doesn't even make sense. And it's like, yeah, no, racial slurs don't make sense.
They
That's
don't.
a great point, Avienda. You're really breaking some ground here.
Yeah.
Avienda should have just stabbed Tenobia.
That would have been so iconic. Tenobia is an insufferable character. It's like, what if she was exactly like Fail, who is her cousin, except worse?
She's Fail, but worse.
But just like worse in every way possible.
She really makes you think, wow, maybe Fail isn't such a bad character.
Maybe Fail's actually really lovely.
Maybe Fail is super nice, actually. So she's Fail's cousin, Davram Bashir's niece, and she keeps being like, where's my uncle? I want to talk to him. And Elayne's like, oh, that's nice that she wants to talk to Davram Bashir. You know, he's somewhere outside the city. I don't know, I can tell him you want to see him. And I'm pretty sure, if what I recall, Tenobia wants to see Bashir because she's super mad at him for fucking ditching Saldia and being like, I'm going to take up with the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, like his literal job is to be like the number one military man
He's the Marshal
in Saldia.
General of Saldia,
Yeah.
and he was like, peace out, there aren't any wars in Saldia, I'm gonna go follow the Dragon Reborn around.
I also, lest we forget, remember that Davram Bashir initially left Saldia to chase down Mazrim Tem and kill him, so...
Mazrim Tem ain't dead, so technically job ain't done, Tenobia.
No, but yeah, he's like, I'm still out here, the man's slippery.
I know, God, Davram Bashir, such a baller move. Just being like, yeah, I'm not going back.
I'm not going back.
It's just me, my army, and the Dragon Reborn.
Two little peace signs. He's got his leg thrown over the chair. Yeah.
He's like, hello.
It's me. I mean, if it was my job to do what Tenobia told me to do, I would also leave and go somewhere else. So.
I mean, yeah, she is insufferable.
Bashir
seems to be aware of that. Anyway, so yeah, Tenobia is a huge asshole. And the meat of this meeting is Elayne being like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to advance further into Andor and then just stay there. And they're like, but then you'd attack us. And she's like, but I pinky promise I won't. And they're like, oh, that would really benefit you, I guess, because it would get some people to join your side to like rebuff the giant army that is going on. And she's like, yes, exactly. And they're like, okay, well, in exchange, will you tell us where the Dragon Reborn is? And she's like, for sure. And then she tells them he's in Murundi, which he's not. So I don't know what the whole big deal of her being like, no, I need to keep to the 3 oaths, like Egg told us to, so I'm not going to tell a lie. Then she's like, a search in Murundi would be profitable, which I'm pretty sure is a lie because...
What's in Murundi?
What's in Murundi? Well, Telmanese, I think, right now. But, so,
it would be profitable then.
yeah.
Go get a slice of that French cake.
But not for long. He's leaving
It's true.
soon.
He is peacing out.
And just, Rand is not in Murundi. And also, this is just Elayne. It makes me so angry. Elayne is just doing all this, like, secretarial work for Rand without passing on any of his messages. She's, like, picking up the phone constantly, being like, oh, you want to talk to the Dragon Reborn? Sure, I'll pass that on. Click. doesn't tell Rand any of it. Because, I don't know, she has no actual method of getting in contact with Rand. Which, like, fair enough. If you were just to tell these people, listen, he was here a week ago. Occasionally he visits because Andor is the way that it is. I will do my best to pass on a message to him. But honestly, he's fucking nowhere right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he is. How hard is that to say?
Yeah.
I don't actually know where he is. You could try these couple places where he's been seen recently.
Yeah. Like, Elayne, it's not your problem. It's not your responsibility to manage who goes after Rand.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you're, like, protective of him, but if this giant army of Borderlanders is like, where's the Dragon Reborn, and you meet with them, and honestly, they don't seem particularly threatening. They just seem to want to talk to him. You're like, okay, great. Here's some places he's been seen. That is Rand's problem, not yours.
Yeah, also Rand has a big giant army of his own.
Yeah.
And a bunch of men who can create explosions.
Also, the Borderlanders make a valid point. The Borderlanders are like, why the fuck is the Dragon Reborn spending all his time in fantasy Europe rather than over here in fantasy Asia, which is where all the real, like, conflict is gonna happen.
Yeah.
With the Dark One.
They do
He
make
can't
some
even
points.
be bought, what?
Sorry, I was just agreeing with you. They're very valid.
Yeah, he just can't be fucking bothered to go, like, say hello.
Yeah. Like, they do make such a good point. What the fuck is Rand still doing in Kyrian? Get out of there.
What is he doing on his little farmatting vacation, hunting down some random people when he could be doing important diplomatic work? I'm sorry, I know everyone's like, Rand is so busy. He doesn't have time to... Teleporting! He can teleport!
Also, is Rand that busy? It feels like Rand continues to collect more and more people who are doing all the work for him.
Yes. He has now, at this point, like, a whole army of Aes Sedai who he can send to people and be like, hello, diplomacy.
Yeah, you've got Marana right there.
know.
That's her whole thing.
He has only just now discovered that he can use Marana because Alana was like, hey, did you know that actually some of us have skill sets?
No.
Not just fantasy rape like mine.
No, Emily, women can only get pregnant. We've already been over this. Their only skill set is having a womb.
And lying.
And lying.
Those are the two things women are good for, didn't you know?
No, it's very, very exhausting. Especially because, yeah, the Borderlanders will be integral.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But no, they are integral by all logic. They should
Yeah.
be integral, but they're not.
Rand is too busy, killing random people, ignoring the Shanshan invasion, not talking to any of his girlfriends except Min, and not bothering to rule any of the countries he's in charge of. So
What's he doing?
he literally does not have time to go up to the Borderlands.
He's so stupid. I
He's
hate
so
him.
busy.
Okay, so
At
the
least when
Borderlanders.
At
What?
least when he clones his side, I'm like, finally, he has done something.
I know, but it's just so frustrating because this whole book is like, yeah, he's gonna cleanse Sidon, and I'm like, that could have been done. It's done in a single chapter.
Yeah, why wasn't that the first chapter of this
Yeah,
book?
just been like, well, done.
No,
So
he had to go murder people for no reason. I don't even think he even killed any of them.
no, he doesn't. We discussed that
Oh,
last.
that's right. We did. Sorry. Come on, Ed. Come say hi. Come tell us your thoughts. You, unlike Tybalt, seem to have some.
So the Borderlanders agree to this sketchy plan for some godforsaken reason. And then Elayne leaves with Birgitte and Avienda. And at some point, she is so overcome by exhaustion that she just, like, falls asleep. And Birgitte has to carry her away from her arms. And it's like, I've seen Elayne and other characters have some, like, incredibly busy days where it would make sense for them to just, like, fall asleep, you know, and be very tired. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
The most Elayne has done today is, like, go riding a little bit, and she had one meeting, and I get that that might have been, like, mentally and emotionally exhausting. I hate meetings.
Me too.
But, like, you're trying to tell me that Elayne is so exhausted that she's just, like, swooning into her warder's arms, which, like, baller move on Brigitte's part, by the way, being able to carry a fully grown person.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
She's so
Bridal
sexy.
style.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really stretching my disbelief a little bit. And I really just think it's Robert Jordan being like, now that she's pregnant, look at how vulnerable she is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it definitely seems to him to be like, I know a couple things about pregnancy. One of those is that women tend to get more tired because they are growing a human being inside of them. My understanding is that exhaustion doesn't hit 1 week after you
It's
become
been 1 week since you looked at me.
pregnant.
It's been 1 week since you put your dick in me. Come on.
And now I'm so tired. I just fall asleep in Brigitte's arms. I would fall asleep in Brigitte's arms, but because I wanted to.
Yeah, but because it was sexy, not because...
Yeah, because I'd be like, oh, I'm so delicate. Oh, look at me falling.
Oh my god.
I hope someone catches me. Brigitte wouldn't catch me. She'd be like, you're annoying.
No, she would. She's very chivalrous.
God,
She's so sexy.
I think Brigitte should have a girlfriend. I think Guidel Kane should be reincarnated as a woman in this cycle.
Guidel Kane should have been a woman to begin with.
You're so right.
Brigitte should have been like, look at my incredibly ugly girlfriend.
I love my ugly wife.
That way she could... That way we could have had peak comedy scenes where she and Matt are like looking at women and Brigitte's like, that woman is incredibly hot, but look at that one.
And Matt's like,
what the fuck? Matt's like, shit, I mean, she's not my cup of tea. And Brigitte's like, every woman is a queen, Matt. If she breathes, she's a thought.
ugh,
So anyway, new Birgitte headcanon.
you're so right. Ugh.
As they're like walking up to the palace, Hal and Nori is like fluttering around. He's like, I need to talk to Elayne. And everyone's like, it's not that urgent, Nori. Can't you see her? She's so delicate and beautiful while she's asleep. Real fantasy princess here. And Hal and Nori's like, there are armies! Can you guys be less nuts for 1 second?
Yeah.
There's an invading army. And Elayne is like, okay, everyone, let's get in formation.
Barf.
And immediately starts doing war preparations, which is where we'll catch up with her next book, when with Camelin under siege. With,
That one asshole leading the other army.
yeah, some other of the bad houses of Andor. I don't know.
A bad house. A monster house.
Bad house. Ugh, I hated that movie.
Me too. Haunting.
So creepy. Let's see. Favorite character, least favorite character. Can't say Elayne. I feel like that's too obvious.
Okay. I'm gonna say my least favorite character is Tenobia for the racism.
Oh no, that's pretty bad.
And I will say my favorite character, I feel like I also shouldn't say Hal and Nori because that's just like a home run immediately, you know?
Yeah, he's just always there. But like, if he's the only thing keeping you going, if he's your shining light at the end of the tunnel, then
he is my shining light, fluttering around like a nervous hummingbird.
yeah,
Just
that's really powerful for him.
yeah. Okay, I'll say Hal and Nori then. I love that man.
Okay, I'll say my favorite character is Peter of Arafel. I guess is who he's from. Yeah, I just think he's nice. I just think he's neat.
I just think he's neat.
He's just representing a really powerful demographic, which is hot older men, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I would like to look at him.
Me too.
I want to know what he's about.
Yeah.
And looks like. Apparently he also writes poetry. Or maybe that was the other guy.
I hope they write poems to each other. I hope Peter is also gay.
Yeah, I wish everyone in the Borderlands was gay. And so I guess my least favorite character is... Gosh, Tenobia is such a gimme.
Oh no.
Who's left even? Oh, what's his name? We didn't even talk about him because he's not worth talking about.
Oh, Mellar.
Dwaylen Mellar, who I just actually am not going to give any airtime to him from now on, or the various subplots regarding him. So just all you need to know is he's no good, and I hate him, obviously, because he's a fucking rapist.
Yeah, he's a no good piece of shit. And I think Brigitte should get to kill him.
I think Brigitte should get to kill a lot of people. I think Avienda should have got to kill Tenobia. Yeah. Just like one hit kill right away.
Nat 20.
Regicide immediately. Yeah. And I think Brigitte should be able to kill Mellar every day.
Yeah, like Prometheus getting his liver eaten out.
Yeah, every day. Brigitte's like, rise and shine, bitch.
And beheads
Time
him.
for an arrow in your fucking skull.
Yeah.
And beheads. Yeah.
I think that would be nice.
I think that would be nice. It would be really, really nice for
That's
me.
Birgitte's version of heaven when she goes back into the... when she's woven back into the wheel or
She's
whatever.
like, oh, hello, Godal. Be right back. I just have to go behead a man. And he's like, that's my hot wife.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are those 2 chapters.
Those are those
terrible
chapters.
as they are. Good news is we're back with Matt next time for a little bit as the escape plan from hell comes together.
Yeah.
There's some real, ups and downs, topsy-turvy. It's a real fun one.
Yeah, Matt is just being thrown into a Shakespearean comedy there at the end.
Yeah, he's really living.
Where he's like, how many women do I have to kill?
How many people am I just caravanning out through the circus? And it's quite a ludicrous number. So thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks to Glenna McKenzie for our theme song, and to our followers on social media, and our patrons on Patreon. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I wanted to give a special social media shout out to Julie McCormick, who is Julie_tattoos on Instagram, who answered my call from last week and drew me the Mona Shipa.
Oh yeah,
So thank you,
very,
Julie.
very, very good. It's just extremely good to look at.
It's very fun. So
Check it out. It's on our Twitter.
it's on our Twitter and on our Instagram. Yeah. So I just love it. I know I'm very selfish when I ask for fan art because I know you guys are busy, but I do always love it. So thank you for giving your limited time on this planet to making something like that. So
Do you have a sign off?
I do. While we were recording, we received the following email on the EHR email. The title is, all capitals, Manscaped. X Everybody Hates Rand podcast. And you know what? This seems to be a lovely
Is it from
email.
Tumblr?
No. It is someone offering to advertise on the podcast. So I'm delighted to go see what type of manscaping I think our audience would be interested in. This person seems lovely. I just was not expecting to receive an email titled Manscaped, all caps. So
It's just really funny because ironically at the same time, Tumblr right now, the only ad on Tumblr is for a ball hair trimmer. You'll just be scrolling along innocently and suddenly it'll be I think it's probably the same, it's almost certainly the same company.
are we about to enter our what is the macro? Extreme restraints? Is that it? Are we going to enter our extreme restraints era?
I would love that. If they'll pay me enough money, I'll do it. I'll talk all about getting an electric razor to shave your junk, Keep it nice and smooth down there.
Yeah, I bet it is. Look, right here, you can get new here 15%. We're already giving them free advertising. Wait, no, don't listen.
Bye, everyone.